Let's talk about sex. Take a breath. Feel your heart. What happens to your heart when I say the word sex? Does it contract or does it expand? So we're going to talk about sex we're going to talk about sex from the perspective of the divine feminine and Dakini, which I talked about in an earlier video. So I wanted to talk about erotic innocence. What is erotic innocence? Erotic innocence is the natural, pure, life force energy that lives inside every human being. It is not sexualized, manipulative, or performative. It is the unbroken, unashamed, divinely sourced energy of aliveness. It is the part of us that delights, feels joy, follows beauty, expresses freely, dances with life, creates, connects deeply, feels desire without shame, experiences pleasure as presence, not performance. Erotic innocence is the original blueprint before conditioning, trauma, shame, or objectification distorted our relationship with desire. It is sensuality without fear. It is desire without guilt. It is pleasure without exploitation. It is the energy of creation moving through you naturally. So what is happening to you as I talk about this? What's coming up for you? Just notice it in your body. Pay attention to it. Acknowledge it. What needs to be healed? Put your hand wherever you feel it. Validate it. And care for it. And then let it go. Erotic innocence equals life force plus self-love plus presence. In simple terms, erotic innocence is your life force, your soul's vitality, and your inner fire unburdened by shame. Were you shamed growing up for your sexuality in some way? I know I was. What did that experience do to you? What stories did you tell yourself? You don't have to think of anything. It naturally comes up in you. So when it comes up, just use my AVC model. Acknowledge, validate, and care for. It is the spark that makes you feel alive, feel connected, feel playful, feel inspired, feel sensual, feel creative, feel your truth. This is the same energy used in Tantra, Kundalini, feminine embodiment practices, creativity, intuition, manifestation, deep relational connection. You don't do erotic innocence, you unblock it. But a lot of us women have been traumatized in some way for our sensuality and sexuality. And so when that comes up, we don't want to push it down. We want to acknowledge, validate, and care for it so that we can release it. And we may need to move to release it from our body. Yoga or walking or dance might be a good way to release it from your body. Breath work too. Breath work helps. How it gets lost. People lose connection to erotic innocence because of sexual shame or repression, religious or cultural conditioning that gets passed down from our families and in our bodies too. Body shame, trauma, over-responsibility, being parentified, rescuing others, being parentified because you get put up in the hierarchy and it gets to be like incestual, like an incestual energy. Rescuing others, chronic stress, internalized judgment, and abandoning your desires. These experiences force the erotic energy inward where it becomes numbness, maybe depression, shutdown, self-denial, disconnection, compulsive caretaking, oh, we do that a lot, right? Resentment, a belief that desire is dangerous. This is why erotic innocence is not just about sexuality, it's about your capacity to feel fully alive. This is energy that you need to reclaim. This is your power and your energy. Why erotic innocence is essential in sovereignty work, which is what I do. I'm a sovereignty coach. Because sovereignty involves reclaiming your body, reclaiming your intuition, reclaiming your desire, reclaiming your boundaries, and reclaiming your inner authority. And erotic innocence is the foundation for all of these. Erotic innocence is the feminine feeling sense, the spark of intuition, that the energy that mobilizes you toward what you desire. Magnetism that helps you manifest, the vitality that allows you to say yes and no with clarity. When erotic innocence returns, your whole system reorganizes around joy, truth, and aliveness. So in my coaching work, what I do is help the feminine energy be unburdened, childlike trust restored as you listen to your intuition, the body's you learn to listen to the body's intuitive yes and no. And you get in touch with the part of you that was not touched by trauma, or it's really not a part, it's your higher self that was untouched by the trauma, and you bring that to the trauma to heal. The place where expansion and contraction, this is Peter Levine's work on trauma, healing trauma. The place where expansion and contraction naturally dance. So we learn to listen to our body when it contracts in fear and when it expands in openness. It is essentially the empowered, integrated feminine that rises once fear and shame dissolve. So how do you feel about sex? Do you enjoy sex? Do you avoid sex? Tell me. I'm going to tell you a funny story. So when I was a teenager, I had a boyfriend in high school. We were together for 7 months, and he had already had sex. He was a year younger than me. He had already had sex, though, in his first relationship, and was really traumatized by the ending of that relationship because she cheated on him. And you know, it was 7 months into our relationship. I had never had sex, but I loved him very much, and I wanted to have sex with him. And so I talked to my mom about it. I said, and I was raised Catholic, which will just give you a little bit of an idea of what she said. So I talked to my mom about it, and she said, if a boy wants to have sex, he needs to wait until he's married to you. And if he can't wait, then he really doesn't love you. But I was really confused because I was, in fact, the one that wanted to have sex, and she didn't tell me what to do about that. So I just went ahead and had sex. But then later my sister got in trouble for drinking, and I was just worried about her. So I said to my mom, like, she's drunk. Like, Mom, aren't you worried about her? Because she was younger than me too, and this was in high school. I'm like, Mom, don't you want to say something to her? Because she would see everybody on TV going, they're on drugs, they're drunk, you know. But she didn't see it in my sister, and I was worried about my sister. So when I said that, then my sister's like, Lisa's having sex. And my mom just turned on me, forgot about my sister, which was so strange, and just called me a whore, called me like all kinds of names. But I stood up for myself and I said, I love him. But that trauma was still in me, and that's trauma I just recently came up in me again to look at and say, do I believe that about myself? I got that belief from people who didn't really know much about sex, who were taught that sex was wrong and bad. Do I believe that? No, I don't believe that. This is what I believe. I believe in the erotic innocence. And that is the new model in the new earth for sexuality and sensuality. And I have experienced that. And it's beautiful. So tell me about you, and are you interested in this?